that we're going to get together with a little later this morning, about 15 or 20 minutes. But we want to thank Ben for letting us come out here. Bart and Tim wanted to get together and let you guys know that, like everybody else, all working together to get racing back at Fort Erie for a long time. I'm not going to do all the talking. I'll turn it over to Bart and Tim, and they're going to say a few words, and then we'll allow you to ask a couple of questions. We got about 10 or 15 minutes, so feel free to ask some questions afterwards, guys.
Perfect. Well, I start out, and I'll give it to my friend Bart Maves. Many of you know Bart, Niagara Falls boy, spends a lot of time at the track, and he's going to fight for you, because we are here today because we believe in the future of the Fort Erie racetrack. Let me just cut to the chase and tell you what I'm going to fight for, and glad to take any questions that you have. I see this, sadly, as 1997 all over again. In 1997, the track faced closure. I was the MPP, proud of it for that point in time. I was about 29 years old, a bit skinnier, a bit more hair on my head. But I knew I had to fight for the Fort Erie track, and I worked with Daryl and Nick Gonzalez and Herb McGurr and the gang, and we fought for the slots in the racetrack. And it worked. It gave that track almost 15 years of life. The slots of the racetrack initiative might not have been perfect, but it worked. And we all know that the government got the lion's share of that revenue to go into things like our hospitals and our schools. It meant that we shared the revenue of the local horsemen through the purses and money back in the tracks. And the thing was, not only kept the racetrack alive, it actually got more business, but it was copied everywhere else in North America, right? Other jurisdictions went the opposite direction. So was it perfect? No. But you don't toss out the baby with the bathwater, right? You can fix a program, any problems, you fix a problem, you don't toss the whole thing out and then cut off 60,000 jobs in the horse racing sector. And let's face the facts. No matter what the current government says with their new program or the NDP promises, the track's not going to have a long-term future unless you get slots back in the track. That's my point of view. And only the government, run by the Liberals, could lose money running a racetrack's casino, right? Like, who could actually lose money running a slots operation? That takes some doing. My point of view, put the slots back in the racetrack, and they get a business that is in the business that knows how to run it, because I bet they'll run it a lot better. They'll actually make more revenue, and then you share that revenue with the horse racing sector. So you restore a program with slots at the racetrack, and you share the money locally. Now, to fix up the problems, we can talk more about that. Sadinsky had a number of recommendations years ago that I know the horsemen liked. They thought that was the right track. So you can have those improvements, but you keep the basics, 3-point plan. Slots at the racetrack, run by an operator who can actually run the business, is not going to shut it down, and make sure you share the revenue of the local horse racing sector to keep this racetrack going. I've been there in the back stretches many, many times. Met from the hot walkers to the grooms to the owners to the trainers. I'm proud of what this track represents and the people that work before the sun comes up to after the sun goes down. Hard back, breaking labor for pretty modest living. I'm not going to give up on you. Bart Maves is not going to give up on you. I believe we can actually turn this around. And Randy Pettipiece, I've given a special role. He's from Perth County. He's our lead for the horse racing sector. He's my deputy critic, was for agriculture. He's now my critic for rural Ontario, with a big focus on making sure we give the horse racing sector a sustainable future you can count on, where you know you have a steady revenue stream coming in through the purses, so you can build a better future. And your kids and grandkids can have good jobs as well in that sector. That's what I plan to do, and that's what I'm going to fight for. I did it before. In 1997, we were successful. You know what? I'm going to do it again. I'm not going to give up. Thanks very much.
Sure, I just add, most of you know me, but not everybody. I was the MPP for Niagara Falls from 95 to 2003, and one of the first things that I had success at was getting a casino in Niagara Falls, which we had a referendum for, and it made sense to have a casino in Niagara Falls for tourism purposes and grab people from over the border. And immediately one of the impacts of the casino in Niagara Falls was to hurt racing. All the casinos, the first one got put in Windsor, you'll remember, by the NDP, and we put one in Niagara Falls. So it was a great boom for Niagara Falls and Niagara Falls tourism. We had $2 billion of hotels and restaurants go up, and tourism exploded for the next decade. But having immediately recognizing that at one point in time, horse racing basically had a monopoly on legal gaming in Ontario until Wintario came in, and then 649 in those games. Then the casinos ate into it even more. So having immediately recognized that impact, Tim and some other guys in the PC government back then said we need to do something to support racing, and that's where the slots at the racetrack program came from. And so I was happy to work with Tim to get slots in the racetrack. I actually, in my private life after I lost in 2003, worked a little bit for Nordic. One of my initiatives for about 6 months as a consultant with him was to get head-to-head sports betting, because I believe sports betting would be another way to get our competitive advantage back amongst the American casinos. And if we could get sports betting through the federal level of government, we could put it in Ontario in places like racetracks and border communities, and we'd have the Americans come back. So I've been very active on the file as an MPP from 95 to 2003. I know it extremely well. I was doing it in my private life as a consultant, and I grew up as a kid. My dad used to take me to the racetrack with my brothers, and we get $2 each, and we pool it, we bet it to show, and at the end of the day, if we went home with any money, it was a success. So I've been coming there since I was 10. Dominic Delilah is my neighbor and friend of mine since I was 10. He used to come with me and my dad, and now Dominic owns about 40 horses with his
So he did a bit better on the bets than you did, I think.
Yeah. He obviously did better. He owns 40 horses right now, and I don't know if that's so good. But so I've been involved in it since I was 10 in one way or the other, and I love horse racing, and the 40-year racetrack's a jewel for us, and we can't lose it. And the only way we're going to get it back and fix it permanently is to change the government, because the fact of the matter is, in 2012, the Liberals brought in this modernization plan, which killed slots at the racetracks, and the NDP supported them on it. The modernization plan is a threat to Niagara Falls because they want to put 29 casinos all across the GTA, and that's going to devastate Niagara Falls. So Tim voted against it. The PC party voted against it because they knew the negative impact of that budget. And they continue to be strongly opposed to what the Liberal and the NDP coalition is doing. So he stuck up for the track year after year, and he's been saying the same thing year after year. And I appreciate his understanding of it. There isn't any leader out there that has the understanding of the business that Tim does. So I think he and I are your best bets going forward.